I feel like there has been a pickup in this kind of agreements pretty much across the board. I would imagine it's really the changing security environment for the world and also having to modernize it together. Does it necessarily mean stabilization in the region, or does it, I don't know, have the effect of escalating tensions? And just walk us through the trend that you're seeing.
Yeah, so I mean, the trend is pretty clear that countries that are concerned about China's rise, military rise in particular, they are partnering together more than perhaps ever before. And the defense cooperation agreement you mentioned that was signed last August between Indonesia and Australia, which allows them to have reciprocal military access to each other's territories. I mean, that's a manifestation of it, right? But there are many other agreements, between, for example, the Philippines and New Zealand. We just saw one that are, very similar. Japan is striking a lot of these types of deals, right? And most notably, a lot of these deals don't involve the United States, right? The United States, of course, has a lot of deals that are similar, with these same countries. But I think what's interesting here now is you see countries within the region taking it upon themselves to do more. And I think that actually dovetails quite nicely with the Trump administration's approach, which is more selective engagement, more about burden sharing, right? Allies and partners doing more on their own,
right,
rather than the U.S. being everywhere at every moment. And so I think that trend is probably going to continue.
Let's hit on the mineral angle, because you point out that Australia has been losing out to Indonesia when it comes to nickel mining and sales, but they're also trying to get involved when it comes to lithium. I would imagine it's really the story around Australia having lots of lithium. Indonesia doesn't, and Indonesia wants to move up the value chain when it comes to EV and EV battery manufacturing hub. So talk to us about how this could be done with China's role in this supply chain.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I think we'll have to see how it plays out. But, Indonesia has a wealth of critical minerals. I mean, not just nickel, but copper as well, others, right? That really are going to play a huge role in not just the future, but really current supply chains, especially on EVs and battery manufacturing more broadly. And I think for Australia, they are feeling the pressure, right, of not necessarily being like the one-stop shop for China's EV and battery production, right? And so I think with Albanese's trip starting today, right, your time, we're going to see Australia try to get more into that game, potentially by partnering with Indonesia, because while Indonesia has lithium, it doesn't have as much, proven reserves as Australia does. Australia also has the expertise to mine it on its own, right? And so I think you're going to see Australia try to leverage that point with Indonesia to maybe even co-produce batteries in the future. But then the question becomes, how does that play into the geopolitics? Is Australia doing this to counter China, or is that maybe a carrot rather than a stick type approach, partnering with Indonesia? I think a lot of it is yet to be determined.